Shalom, Shalom, Yasha Allah. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and infinite praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakak. Double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, peace and salutations to the elect scattered abroad, pushing his truth and sincerity. Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, Ba'asham, Rakak, Barakathum, to Zaquanium, Wa'akim, Wa'gwafium, your elders, your brothers, your sisters, the hopeful elect, out there laboring, keeping the commandments to the best of your ability, giving diligence, make your call and election sure, and of course keeping faith in Yahweh, Yahweh Shai, in these last days and these perilous times that we're living in. This is Brother Pashai, Bon Yasha Allah, and this will be a quick lesson through the spirit of Papa Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. Basically, further proving how Alexander the Great, Antiochus, Epiphanes, the Greeks were Edomites and not Israelites. Like this group, one Bon Yahweh Shai, they're teaching false doctrine. They're teaching that Alexander the Great, Antiochus Epiphanes, the Greeks were Israelites. And they're also teaching that Herod the Great, and his family were wicked Israelites. All that is false. And they're going off. Herod the Great, he was an Edomite, so was, the Romans, there was Edomites, Pompey and Julius Caesar, those are all Edomites. Alexander the Great, Antiochus Epiphanes, Alexander's 4 generals, there was Greeks, there was Edomites, man. This is Alexander Alexander the Macedonian. We're gonna prove through the spirit how there was all Edomites. And also when you go to scriptures, if you learn about Haman, we all know he was an Edomite, persecuting our people. You get that in the book of Esther and all of that, right? And Haman was also known as a Macedonian, and he descended from Agag, and Agag descended from Amalek, man. And Amalek was the grandson of Esau, which I'm gonna get that right now through the spirit. So first, we're gonna start with Genesis 36, verse 1. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. Right? One more time. Now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. So they're going to Esau's generations, right? His descendants. Let's jump down to verse 12, right? Matter of fact, I'll give verse 8. It says, thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And we know another word for Edom is Idumea, which means red, Edom. Verse 9. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. These are the names of Esau's sons: Eliphaz, the son of Adah, the wife of Esau; Reuel, the son of Bathshemath, the wife of Esau. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, Omar, Zepho, and Gatam, and Kenaz. And Timnah was a concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, right? And she bare Eliphaz Amalek. These were the sons of Adah, Esau's wife. So Amalek is a grandson of Esau. You see that? Timnah was a concubine to Eliphaz, which was Esau's son, and she bare Eliphaz Amalek, right? And we know scripture talk about Amalek as the first of the nation, but it's latter end that he shall perish forever. Amalek is these so-called I'll say the 1948ers. You know what I'm saying? Because they control everything. The ones that control everything. The elites, the top banking families. They're all Amalekites. So-called Jews. They're Jewish. That's what they say. The ish, the suffix ish, meaning pertaining to in like manner, but not, that's not what it is. They're not the real Jews. And, we all know that. You know what I'm saying? So those are the Amalekites. So basically, Amalek is a grandson of Esau, meaning what? He's an Edomite. These are Esau's descendants. From there, we're going to get the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 20, right? I'll start at verse 20. It says, and Saul said unto Samuel, yea, I have obeyed the voice of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, and have gone the way which the Lord sent me, and have brought Agag, the king of Amalek. So Agag was what? A Amalekite. He was a king of Amalek. He was an Amalekite, right? And have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. And we know Amalek, the Amalekites, is a grandson of Esau. So these are all Edomites. Agag was an Edomite, right? Now, that's the point I want to bring out. Agag, remember that name. And have brought Agag, the king of Amalek, and have utterly destroyed the Amalekites. From there, we're going to get the book of Esther, the 3rd chapter, start at verse 1. Now these things did King Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Hammedatha, I believe I pronounce it, or Amatha, right? The Agite. So Haman was a son of Adamatha, the Agite. So Haman was an Agite. He descended from Agag, right? And Agag descended from who? Amalek. So Haman was what? An Edomite. You see that? So it says, after these things did Ahasuerus promote Haman, the son of Adamatha, the Agagite, and advanced him and set his seat above all the princes that were with him. So it's during the time, you know, during the time of Esther and all of that, right? Boom. So that's the point I want to bring out. Remember, Agag was from was Amalekite, and Haman was a descendant of Agag. You know what I mean? Haman was an Edomite. Now watch this. The additions of Esther 7 and verse 10. For Haman, which is Haman, that's what it's talking about. That's who it's talking about. It says, for Haman, a Macedonian, the son of Adamatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us. So Haman was a Macedonian, who also was a Macedonian. Let's find out. You know, this is so easy, man. You know. And the brother SHAQADAN brought this point out, you know, earlier today at camp, and I was like, man, I gotta do a land back lesson on this, man. You know, to further prove how Alexander the Greek, you know, Alexander the Freak was an Edomite. All the Greeks, they were Edomites, man. Now, yes, you had Israelites that adopted to the Greek customs because they was Hellenized, you see, but they still, from the seed line, the bloodline, they go back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Alexander goes back to Esau. So does all his 4 generals, so does Antiochus, Epiphanes. They was known as the wicked, man, the evil root. You see, and as much, the brother also brought this out, in as much as Antiochus Epiphanes, he wanted to be a Jew. So how can he be an Israelite if he wanted to be one? That makes no sense. Literally, when the Lord gave him that incurable disease, he was about to die. You know, he tried to write his own little revelation. You know what I'm saying? And he basically said, you know, he wanted to be a Jew. You know, he said, man, you know, basically he wished he was a Jew, an Israelite. So how can he be an Israelite, man? He was clearly an Edomite, man. Come on now. You know, and also in Daniel 7th chapter, and going to the 4th beast, you know, one of those beasts, I believe it was the 3rd beast, if I'm not mistaken, was one like unto a leopard, was going to the Greeks. You see, and Daniel was an Israelite, and he saw this vision of the 4 great beasts. None of those beasts were Israelites, man. You see, you have the Babylonians, you have the Persians and the Medes, you have the Greeks, you have the Romans, and today the Roman Empire is revised. You know, NATO and the EU, so that's that beast system. And who's the whore that rides upon the beast? America. You know. So Daniel did not see his people as the 3rd beast. The Israelites is not the 3rd beast. That's the Greeks, the Edomites. Come on now, this is you know, come on. But watch this. Remember, Haman was also a Macedonian, and we know Haman goes back to Agag, and Agag was the king of Amalek. Amalek was the grandson of Esau. 1 Maccabees 1:1. And it happened after the Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian. Come on now. Alexander, the son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes. And Haman, he wanted to be the one to translate the kingdom. Let me get it. Let me go back to Editions of Esther. I'm gonna go back to 1 Maccabees, right? But I'm gonna go back to Editions of Esther 7 and 10. I read from the top. It says, for Haman, a Macedonian, the son of Adamatha, being indeed a stranger from the Persian blood, and far distant from our goodness, and as a stranger received of us, has so far forth obtained the favor that we shew toward every nation, as that he was called our father, and was continually honored of all the next person unto the king. But he, not bearing his great dignity, went about to deprive us of our kingdom and life, having by manifold and cunning deceits sought of us the destruction, as well of Mordecai, that's going to Mordecai, who saved our life and continually procured our good, as also a blameless Esther, partake of our kingdom and with their whole nation. For by these means he thought, finding us destitute of friends, to have translated the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians. So he wanted to translate the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians. He didn't succeed in that. Who did? Alexander the Great. You see that? So they were Edomites. These Macedonians, they was Edomites, man. Watch this, verse 15. But we find that the Jews, the Israelites, whom this wicked wretch have delivered to utter destruction. Who's that wicked wretch? Haman, right? Who was an Edomite, who descended from Agag. Agag was one of the king of Amalek. Amalek is the grandson of Esau. So this further proves the point. So it says, but we find that the Jews whom this wicked wretch have delivered to utter destruction are no evildoers, but live by most just laws. and that they be the children of the Most High and Most Mighty, live in power, who have adorned the kingdom both unto us and to our progenitors, in the most excellent manner. So the Jews live by what? The most just laws, are no evildoers. So we're not known as the wicked in the Bible. Now, of course, you have wicked Israelites. Our people did evil things. But as a whole, as a general statement, these are evil people. No, we're righteous people. We're known as the perfect, because we're the children of the Most High. Now, yes, a lot of people go off. Like you had a wicked Israelite that wanted to make a covenant with the heathen. You know what I'm saying? Which also proves that they wasn't these Greeks was not Israelites, because they were known as heathens. What nation from the heathen were they? They were Edomites, right? So we know Haman was a Macedonian, and we know Haman was an Edomite. So these, same thing. And he wanted to translate the kingdom of the Persians to the Macedonians, Haman, but he failed to do that. And he was persecuting our people, man. But the Lord jacked him up. The Lord put him to death. And him, and I think his sons, all of them, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So now we're gonna go to 1 Maccabees 1:1 again, and it says, and it happened after that Alexander, son of Philip. Who was Alexander? Alexander the Great. You can look it up. The Alexander, son of Philip, the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Chittim, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes. So who succeeded in that? Alexander the Great. Right? Why? Because it was written in a prophecy in Daniel the 8th chapter for him to do so. It said, has smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, and that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. Come on, man. He was not an Israelite. This further proves it. And it says, it made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth, and went through to the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, insomuch that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted and his heart was lifted up. He became proud. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings who became tributaries unto him. And after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he yet was alive. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants bare rule everyone in his place. We're going to the four generals, which was Agnes, Cassandra, Seleucus, and I believe Ptolemy, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So it says, verse 9, watch this. And after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves, so that their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Evils. This is going to Esau, man. He's the evil, man. He's the wicked. Watch this. And there came out of them a wicked root, a wicked root. You see, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus, the king, who had been in hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. So we know Antiochus Epiphanes is a wicked Edomite, man. Right? Now watch this. And in those days when they're out of Israel, wicked men, we have wicked of our people, wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Who's the heathen? The Greeks. You go further down, go into the Hellenization. Read further on in the chapters. So Antiochus Epiphanes, as a matter of fact, let's get Daniel right fast. Right? We're going to get Daniel, the 8th chapter. And we're going to verse 20. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of Media and Persia, and the rough goat is the king of Greece. We're going to Alexander the Great. We're actually going to do, And it said, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king. Who's the first king? Alexander the Great. Right? Now that being broken, whereas four stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of the nation, but not in his power. Right? Then it says, and in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance, who is he talking about? Antiochus Epiphanes, and understanding dark sentences, shall stand up, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power, and he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. I read this yesterday, but I'm going to it again through the Spirit. And shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. Who's the holy people? The Israelites. Verse 25. And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Meaning he died. He was broken without hand. He died from incurable disease. You see that? So from there, we're going to go back to Maccabees, but now we're going to get Maccabees, the first chapter, and I don't know, the 10th chapter. Right? All right. Let's see where I want to start at. Right? Because he was given what? An incurable disease, man. Antiochus Epiphanes. That's him being broken without hand. The Lord jacked his ass up. Let's see where I want to start at. And this dude, man, he was persecuting the crap out of us, man. I'm gonna read it. You know, I'm gonna read it, man. This dude was a demon. Right? And how can he be an Israelite, man, if he was persecuting the Israelites and he hated the Israelites? He had that perfect hatred that Esau had for our people, man. Esau has for Jacob. You know, even to this day. You know? So like, I'm trying to see exactly where to start at. So Salakia, come on, where's it at, man? Me and the brother reading this earlier today. Through the spirit at camp. Let me jump all the way down to the end. Was it? Oh, 2nd Maccabees. I'm tweaking. 2nd Maccabees 10. Salakia. Alright. Definitely 2nd Maccabees, the verse, chapter 10. Alright. But this dude was a demon. Man, come on, man. Salaki, y'all try to bear with me 1 second. Let me see. Where's it at, man? It's one of these. I'm gonna look it up. Salaki, I know it's in. I was reading it earlier, Salaki. 2nd Maccabees, the 9th chapter. Salakia. 2nd Maccabees, the 9th chapter. Right? And we're going to start at verse 1, then jump down. So it says, about that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia. So it's going to Antiochus Epiphanes. Right? Let's jump down to verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the power of Israel, smote him, Antiochus Epiphanes. Right? Matter of fact, I'm gonna read this whole chapter through the spirit, not the whole chapter, but you know, the beginning. So to get the whole context. So it says, 2nd Maccabees 9:1, and at that time came Antiochus with dishonor out of the country of Persia, for he had entered a city called Persepolis, and went about to rob the temple and to hold the city. Whereupon the multitude running to defend themselves with their weapons put them to flight. And so it happened that Antiochus, being put to flight of the inhabitants, returned with shame. Right? Now when he came to Ecbatana, news was brought him what had happened unto Nicanor and Timotheus. Then swelling with anger, he thought to avenge upon the Jews the disgrace done unto him by those that made him flee. So he wanted to put us to death, man. How is this man an Israelite, man? He wanted to kill us. This makes no sense. Therefore commanded he. And he had like a perpetual hatred for our people, man. But it says, therefore commanded he his chariotmen to drive without ceasing, to dispatch the journey, the judgment of the Most High, not following him. For he had spoken proudly in his sword that he would come to Jerusalem and make it a common burying place of the Jews. He wanted to just kill us and leave our dead bodies in the streets for the fowls of the air to get, you know. And like I read, he was broken without hand in Daniel 8th chapter. I'm about to go into that. Verse 5. But the Lord Almighty, the power of Israel, smote him with an incurable and invisible plague. Or as soon as he had spoken these words, a pain of the bowels that was relentless came upon him, and sore torment of inner parts. Right? So the Lord jacked him up. He was broken without hand. And that most justly, for he had tormented other men's bowels and many and strange torments. Howbeit he nothing at all ceased from his bragging, but still was filled with pride, breathing out fire in his rage against the Jews, and commanded to haste the journey. But it came to pass that he fell down from his chariot, carried violently, so that having a sore fall, all the members of his body were much pained. Right? Then it says, verse 8, and thus he that a little aforetime thought he might command the waves of the sea, so proud he was beyond the condition of man, and weighed the high mountains in a balance, was now cast on the ground and carried in a horse leader, showing forth unto all the manifest power of the Most High, so that the worms rose up out of the body of this wicked man. And whilst he lived in sorrow and pain, his flesh fell away, and the filthiness of his smell was noisome to all his army. So he had like a nasty, smell to him, man. The Lord jacked him up, verse for messing with it. Listen, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, jacked this Edomite up, this Greek up, for wanting to mess with his chosen people. So how can the Greeks be the part of the chosen nation? How is a chosen nation one of the 4 beasts that Daniel saw in Daniel 7th chapter? And I mean, me and brothers going to this early at camp today, it's crazy how these dudes in one body, Yahushua, teaching this folly. They had to get paid off, but this for edification for the hopeful elect. Verse 10, and the man that thought a little afore he could reach to the stars of heaven. He thought he could reach to the stars of heaven. And who thinks like that? Esau, Malachi the 1st chapter. Obadiah the 1st chapter. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna get it. Because that's the spirit of Esau, man. Oh man. Obadiah 1 in verse 1. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador sent among the heathen. Arise and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou greatly despised. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, save Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And Esau, he does have satellites, so he accomplished that today. He had satellites and stuff up there, but he never went to the moon. We know that, right? But that's the spirit of Esau, man, trying to send to heaven, trying to send to the stars. And that's the same thing Antiochus wanted to do. Let's go back to it, right? So it says, verse 10, and the man that thought a little aforetime he could reach to the stars of heaven, no man could endure it to carry for his intolerable stink. So Antiochus Epiphanes was jacked up. The Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua jacked Antiochus Epiphanes up, and we know he was from the Seleucid Empire, which the Seleucus was one of the 4 generals of Alexander the Great. So these Greeks were Edomites. There was Macedonians. They was not Israelites, and I proved that through the Spirit. How Haman, the Macedonian, descended from Agag, and Agag was one of the king. He's one of the kings of Amalek, and Amalek was the grandson of Esau. So the point has been proven. But I'm gonna read this whole thing through, seeing how the Lord jacked this man up. I just want to get it. Verse 11, right? Here, therefore, being plagued, he began to leave off his great pride and to come to the knowledge of himself by the scourge of the Most High. So he started getting humbled down a little bit because he was being plagued. His pain is increasing every moment. And when he himself could not abide his own smell, he said these words: it is meet to be subject unto the Most High, and that a man that is mortal should not proudly think of himself if he were the Most High. This wicked person vowed also unto the Lord, who now no more would have mercy upon him, saying thus, that the holy city to the which he was going in haste to lay it even to the ground and make it a common burying place, he was set at liberty. So as the Lord was jacking him up, now this wicked person was vowing to set us at liberty, the holy city, right? And as touching the Jews, whom he had judged not worthy so much as to be buried, but to be cast out with their children to be devoured of the fowls and the wild beasts. He would make them equals to the citizens of Athens, right? So he basically saying, right, like because he wanted to jack us up so much that he wanted to kill us, and we were not even gonna get buried, man. He's gonna leave our body, our children, to be devoured by the fowls and of the air and the wild beasts. But now he's trying to say, I would have made them equal with the citizens of Athens. This dude is a demon. He don't stand there because he's about to die. He wanted the Lord to have a little mercy on him, but it was too late. Verse 16. And the holy temple, which before he had spoiled, he would garnish with goodly gifts, and would store all the holy vessels with many more, and out of his own revenue defray the charges belonging to the sacrifices. Yea, and that also he will become a Jew himself. He said, I want to become a Jew, man. I want to be an Israelite, and go through all the world that was inhabited and declare the power of the Most High. You see that? So that's after the Lord jacked them up, and it's kind of similar to when the Lord jacked them into Nebuchadnezzar and brought him to the level of a beast. That Nebuchadnezzar realized that the Most High ruled from the kingdom of men. You see that? So Antiochus Epiphanes was a wicked guy, a wicked Edomite. He wanted to become a Jew himself. So how can he be an Israelite, man? Make it make sense. If y'all gonna teach that, at least make it make sense, man. That makes no goddamn sense. And that's about it on that. You know what I'm saying? That's about it on this lesson. I didn't want to make it too long, straight to the point. You know, Alexander the Great, Alexander the Freak, the Greeks, Antiochus Epiphanes, you know, they was Edomites, not Israelites. So I'm in it right there, and I pray you edify the spirit of power Bashim Shai. I want to give call Limelight Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai, Basham SHAQADAN, double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect scattered abroad, pushing this truth and sincerity without him. Say Shalom, while Baba Shalom.